John 7:51. Numquid lex nostra judicat hominem, nisi audierit ab ipso prius, et cognoverit quid faciat? Does our law judge a person unless it will have heard from him first and will have investigated what he does? In this verse, we hear from Nicodemus, who had been introduced and described in the last verse, and he's speaking to the other members of the Sanhedrin, the Jewish ruling council of elders and chief priests and all that sort of thing. And here he begins with a question, numquid. We've talked a number of times recently about how this is a common question word in the Vulgate, and it doesn't exactly have a one-for-one English translation. We can just indicate that a question is being asked. So, does our law, and here he means the religious law of the Jewish people, does our law judge a person unless, is probably the best thing to say for nisi. Okay, so here we've got a kind of conditional sentence, and the idea is really see known. So, does our law judge a man if our law personified here, really the idea is if we will not have heard from him. But according to the expression here, strictly speaking, this refers back to lex nostra. Does our law judge a man if it will not have heard first or beforehand from the man himself, and if it will not have learned or found out? Often this word means to learn by investigation, which is appropriate here. There's kind of this quasi-judicial investigation that Nicodemus means to invoke here. If we haven't already taken the effort to find out, quid faciat, what he does. Now you might notice this right away and say, aha, that looks like a present subjunctive, and you'd be right. You could remember our mnemonic device that we've talked about many times. We fear a liar, in which the vowels in each word indicate the typical thematic vowels of the present subjunctive in each of the four conjugations, respectively. So this is what we've got here from a third conjugation verb. The I is part of the present stem, in this case, from facio, facere, a third conjugation verb that you maybe could be fooled into thinking is a fourth conjugation verb if you only looked at that first principal part. But of course, the other principal parts will disabuse you of that notion. So here we've got the A subjunctive ending, faciat. Why subjunctive? Well, quid is your clue. This is in fact an indirect question in which we always find the subjunctive in Latin. And it's an indirect question that depends on cognoverit. Doesn't our law first have to learn by inquiry? What? What is it going to learn by inquiry? What he does. That is, in a sense, a kind of reported question, not directly asked, but itself the object as a phrase of cognoverit.